Hey guys, welcome to the Weekly Bugle. Hope everyone is doing really well. We weren't going to do this, and then I got back in London in time even, and you'll be glad to know that we've reduced the amount of overall Quinn from 50% to only 33% for this week's show. So, Jonah, welcome to, I think, your first live video with us, isn't it? You've done some Christmas specials and things before, but how you doing, buddy?
I'm all right, thank you. Thanks very much for having me, guys.
No,
Even you.
you're... And Quinn, welcome back.
Fuck you.
So the reason we've got Jonah on, and we're going to kick things off, we're going to talk about I want to say, I think it's the largest MCP event we've had now, as in like the combined weekend. So we had a team event over at Element this weekend, didn't we? Or the weekend just gone. And even with the handicap that is Quinn Duggan, Jonah's team was able to be victorious. So, Jonah, do you want to give us a rundown of the event, how it went for you guys, the sort of setup of it, that sort of thing?
Yes, so it was run by Tony at Element Games. It was teams of 5, which initially I was skeptical of. I wasn't sure it could get it to work, mainly because as soon as you get like one person drop out, it kind of messes everything up. But everyone showed up, so 80 people in total, 16 teams of 5. It was me, Quinn, Chris, my gaming spouse, who's appeared on this channel in a photograph with me, and then our buddies John and Mike East, and we managed to take home the win. Look at that, nations champions, very swish trophies. I love team events. Obviously, I've done a couple online. I came to yours, Rich, that you ran at Bash in like October, November last year.
Yep.
Yeah, I love team events. They're my favourite way to play. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I do love a team event. And it was followed up, wasn't it? The next day we had the first of the Infinity series of events that we've got here in the UK at the moment. So 6 events that basically represent each of one of the Infinity Stones, Infinity Gems, whatever you want to call them. And how did you guys do in that?
Oh,
I jest.
I went 2 and 2, but one of those was a bye.
But
at least I earned my 2 and 2.
But you'll take it though, Jonah, right? You will take it.
To play this game, I got paired up against someone who dropped, and there were a few of us in that situation. And Tony was like, "No, it's all good. We can match you up. You can get games in." We were like, "This is the 8th game. It's really hot. Don't worry. I'm just gonna chill."
Yeah. No, it's I suppose after 2 games, and just so everyone knows, we had some serious heat waves this weekend as well. And Element Games is not the, what's a polite way of putting?
I believe the correct term is Element Games is a furnace.
A furnace, yeah, and it can sometimes be somewhat pungent as well, depending on which, depending on who we've got there. An aroma. We'll just say a quick hello to everyone in the chat. So, who's this Chris guy, Jonah? I don't know who he is. But yeah, afternoon, Chris.
Carice Williams? No, never.
Yeah, don't know who he is. Snow Loss, good afternoon. Omnifan, good afternoon. I think Dazzy's here as well. Glyn's here. I appreciate a lot of you are probably over watching the AMG stuff because they are live now as well at the moment. And Quinn, they are doing. They've just revealed a tactics card.
I just read that. I'm like, wait, what?
So yeah, we'll jump onto that in a moment. But yeah, I think fair to say overall, really good weekend of gaming. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there due to. Oh God! I mean, it was a right pain in the ass. My son had his birthday. I mean, how rude.
What an arsehole.
I know, right?
I mean,
But
how old is he, Rich?
13.
So really, it's 13 years and 9 months ago Rich's fault.
I mean, to be fair, yeah. Let's say that. But yeah, it was a good weekend. Nonetheless, I did manage to catch some of the live streams, which were pretty good. But yeah, let's jump on then, guys, and let's go into the first character that we're going to break down because, right, so I'm just going to address this snow loss. It's 30 degrees almost every day in Florida here, plus humidity. I understand that, but what we don't have in the UK are houses that are designed to extract heat. They're designed to keep them in. We have no air conditioning anywhere, and we don't have pools in our house. So that's always been my argument whenever I've spoke to my Austin colleagues based over in Austin, Texas, that hot over there is not the same as hot here because we just don't have the facilities for it. So that's my argument anyway. Well, let's jump on then because we are going to break down some characters very quickly. We'll take some time over some of them and not a lot of time over the other ones. But I want to start off with everyone's favourite new 3 threats, Darkstar. So Darkstar, Lenia Petrovna, we know that she's going to be a Winter Guard. We don't know what else she's going to be in yet. I don't think they've given us the updated list quite yet, have they?
The last one they gave us was Scourge and Heimdall on the weekend.
That was the one. Yeah. So she's a 3 threat. She's going to be on a small base, medium move, size 2, 5 stamina front and back. Her card doesn't change front and back. It stays the same. 3/3/4 across the board. First attack is Dark Force Strike. Range 4, 5 strength, 0 cost. She gets full rerolls, but you have to reroll everything. But it's only a flat 1 power gain. And when we see some of the other things she's got, I think really that's the crux of her problem, isn't it? Is that her only way to build power is this one attack. I'll jump through the rest of it and then we'll talk around what we think. Rending Force is her spender. You get to choose whether it's physical or energy. Range 2, 7 strength, costs 3 power. Gives out bleed on a wild. Dimensional Portal is quite nice. It's for 3 power. It's basically the same as Lockjaws. So it's range 3 place within range 3. However, it's not an action, which is a key part to that. And then lastly, Dark Force Barrier. When this character or an allied character within 3 is targeted by an energy or physical attack, you may add 2 dice to the defense roll against that attack. This character or the allied character cannot be advanced, pushed, or placed by the effects of that attack. So some cool little tech in there. Joanna, what's your sort of, I suppose not even initial thoughts now, because we've seen this card, we've sort of had her for a good sort of week or so, haven't we? What are your thoughts on how she's going to perform, both, I suppose, in affiliation and potentially out of affiliation?
Fine. I think we'll come to another character like this in a moment. I think she's going to be like all right in her affiliation. I don't really think we'll see her in many other places. Which I think is something that AMG have done well quite recently. Heimdall seems to be getting around everywhere, but I think we've seen a lot of characters that are good in their affiliation. They help you make affiliation when you're doing threat values, but aren't particularly splashable. And I think that's the case with her. And as you've already said, I think she's going to struggle with power.
Yeah, I think a 3 threat affiliated character, especially in a smaller affiliation, there's always going to be some inherent value in the affiliation, isn't there? Just because it's a 3 threat character, right? And you usually want at least, 2, maybe even 3 in your roster. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see where else she is, like whether she does find herself into any of the other mutant affiliations, because she is a mutant, whether she ends up in the Cabal affiliation. But Quinn, what about yourself? What's your thoughts on her?
I really feel Dark Force Barrier could have done with being 2 costs instead of 3. 3 seemed like, I understand why it's 3 compared to other effects like it that cost 2, because it's kind of a hybrid of Strange and Jean. But equally, with it being 3, she's just very rarely going to have the power to use it unless someone's been beating the absolute crap out of her.
Yeah, and do you think that maybe could be the answer? Is because she's got some both a reactive and an active superpower there that are quite good. Do you think that it could be that people end up finding a place for her maybe outside of her normal affiliation, but maybe going into something, potentially Cabal, because she's probably going to get an extra power for that attack under Red Skull, or maybe even under like a Magneto or an Air Force, or somebody else where you can either reduce the cost of those abilities or just feed more power into her generally? Do you think there could be a space for her in some of those others?
I could definitely see that being a place where you test her out, but I would hazard a guess at saying that in that sort of same vein, you'll probably just take the dog instead. Because the dog just does the thing you want her for far more reliably. Like, he does it every round, so long as you position right.
Yeah, he's going to generate his own power, isn't he? Which is quite nice. Just looking at the questions. So, Darkstar, I think, will work well with Brotherhood and Dark Dimension. I actually think Dark Dimension could be a half decent place for her. I don't disagree with that. Can you do a full roster of characters with Portal now? I think you probably can, right?
Almost certainly.
There's probably enough there now.
I don't think it'd be affiliated with anything, but you could do
No,
it.
doesn't matter because you've got Thanos, so it doesn't matter. Although I did see them talk about they've solved the Thanos problem. I don't know if that was the chat. I don't know if they were referring to the fact that they not nerfed, but they restricted his cards.
I wouldn't call that solving the. Oh, great! Guess what? We've got another card to review.
There we go.
We've got a Baron Strucker.
So, just a real quick one then. Jonah, thumbs up, thumbs down, or not quite sure on Darkstar? Not quite sure at the moment. Quinn? I think I'm in the same vein. Like, I think, yeah, meh, like, that's
She's
okay.
Definitely a character with a card.
She is a character. She has a card. Right, let's go on to then one of the characters that Quinn was most looking forward to, and I think may have broke his heart the most. So it's going to be the big bear himself, Ursa Major, Mikhail Ursus. So he's going to be coming on a medium base. He's going to be a short move. He's going to be 4 threat. He's going to be a size 3 character, and he's going to have 7 stamina front and back. 3/3/4 for his defensive stats. Barehanded Slap is going to be a pretty standard 5 dice builder, range 2 with a bleed on a wild. Bare Arm Brawler is an interesting spender at 3 cost, range 2, 7 strength. Before damage is dealt, if it's Dormammu, if it's not Dormammu, you get to throw the character short. And then they get stagger as well. So very, very reminiscent of I Am Groot. He's got a charge. He's got a size 3 terrain throw, medium, which is quite nice. And then he's also got aggressive. And I believe once again he's exactly the same front and back, so no changes there. Quinn, I'll go to you first because I know that you were very disappointed in this one. What's your thoughts?
Do you remember the I Choose You episode of The Simpsons?
I do remember
where
this.
Ralph goes on a date with Lisa to the Krusty the Clown show, and she rejects him, and Bart's watching the playback, and he's like, "Watch, if you pause it at the right moment, you can see the exact time where his heart breaks." That was me reading this card. Look what they've done to my boy.
It's hard to get behind him. It's really hard to get behind it, isn't it? I think it's it's very reminiscent to me, and obviously it doesn't do the same thing, but very reminiscent of Colossus, very reminiscent of original Steve, where it's just it's not massive, but they're just missing something there, a little bit of defensive tech. I can't believe he doesn't have invulnerable, so that he reduces damage by 1. Because I just think even though he's got 7 stamina, he's probably going to get shredded down quite easily.
Especially with a 3 physical, makes him really vulnerable to throws.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also really don't understand why he can't throw people.
Opposable thumbs? I don't know.
If you look at the card art, he literally has opposable thumbs.
We've just had Baron Strucker as well.
I know. I've
on
literally been reading his card.
we will go through them as well. So we'll try and grab them and go through them. His model's just been released as well, which looks pretty good. Jonah, what are your thoughts on the Big Bear?
Not as down as you two guys. I mean, the spender is sick. A cheap stagger, and it's guaranteed as well. It doesn't have to do damage or anything. He's very simple, isn't he? You're just gonna chuck him into people's face. He's gonna do damage. His builder, I wish it was 6 dice really, just to make him a bit more reliable on getting his power. But aggressive and charge means he'll get places. A bit like Darkstar, I don't think we'll really see him anywhere else. He's very simple for a 4 threat, and there's so many good 4 threats out there. I don't think he splashes anywhere.
Yeah.
But he's bear. He's motherfucking bear. It's awesome.
I mean, look, right? It's a bear, right? It's a bear, so it's quite nice. But the model's really good, right? I'll give them that. The model is really, really good. I think in my head I was maybe wanting the bear to possibly be a 5 threat within the affiliation, so they had a bit of variation, and that they had like a really big hitter. I think I wanted him to just be just a little bit more than what he is.
You wanted him to be Malekith.
I didn't quite want the bear to be Malekith.
I wanted the bear to be Malekith.
I think we probably want every character to be Malekith now. Moving on. I mean,
I wouldn't say I won't say no.
Dear me, that is pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, he's got some nice tech. You know, for a 4 threat, for an in-affiliation 4 threat, he's probably going to do a good enough job to make your roster. I just think they could have made him a little bit better. Maybe this is the thing now. Like if you're on a portrait card, you're not that good. But as soon as you get moved onto a landscape, as you guys will see in a minute, things start to change. Red Guardian is going to have some bodyguard skill. Surely, I think you would expect that. I don't think that's unrealistic to expect. But yeah, so I think overall, Ursa Major, for me, again, he gets he's all right. You know, he's not exceptional in any way, shape, or form. Quinn, thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs down for you, Jonah.
My boy. Why?
Oh, okay, so you get one of each there, one of each. Right then, guys, we've steamed through them as quickly as we possibly can because I think there's one character we want to talk about quite a lot. So let's jump on.
Possibly be.
Let's jump on to the man of the moment, or the elf of the moment. It is the accursed himself, Malekith. So first things first, he's got the new landscape card, which is really, really nice. And I think only reaffirms the fact that Winter Guard were delayed for whatever reason they chose to delay them for. 4s across the board, 10 stamina on his front, 7 threat. So he's the first natural 7 threat in the game that we've had. Right now, the only character that can be 7 threat is Thanos, if you choose to take 1 gem with him. He's size 4, even though he's on his Bog Tiger, and he is a medium move on a large base, I want to say. He's on the big base, yeah. And I think I'm right in saying, guys, and keep me honest, the only thing that changes on his flip side is he loses 2 stamina. I don't think anything else changes from there. But let's break down his card because there is a lot to take in on this one, and we'll probably read a few bits and then take a look at what we think and then come back to it. But his first builder, and I love saying those words, first builder, is Blade of Moon Knight, energy attack.
Blade
7
of Moon Knight?
Blade of Midnight, even.
Yeah,
he's stolen it. So Blade of Midnight. After this attack is resolve, power equal to damage dealt. It's got a pierce on a wild, range 2, 7 dice builder. It's hard to say, is that good for a 7 threat character because we've never had one before. But Jonah, is that good for a 7 threat character?
I think so. With Pierce in particular, Pierce helps so much. I mean, with 7 dice, you should almost always hit a Pierce. You know, 8-sided dice is going to come up pretty reliably, which is effectively an extra hit. I think he's going to get good power off that. And I don't think he's massively power hungry either. He's going to be able to do the things he wants to do.
Yeah, I think you're right. His second builder then is Blood Boil, so a mystic attack, beam 4, strength 5, obviously 0 cost, but after each attack is resolved, gains 1 power. And then we've got a poison on a wild. Quinn, we spoke about this and kind of gushed a little bit over it, really, didn't we, about how much we loved it?
Yeah. I mean, one, having 2 builders is always good, right? Especially when one of them's a beam. Beams, like, especially with Malekith and what he can do with his superpowers, just means that it massively increases the odds of him getting 2 kills in a round rather than just 1, which can be a massive swing in games.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think, look, he's got a really nice spread, as we'll go onto his spender as well, but he's got a really nice spread in terms of something for every situation, really, whether he's up close and personal and needs to just build a lot of power, or if he gets a really nice lineup of characters to be able to do that beam. But let's have a look at Butcher of Thors, which is a great name. So it's a physical attack, range 3, 10 strength, and we'll come back to that in a second. 4 cost, and then after this attack is resolved, place this character within 1 of the target character. And then on a wild, we've got Dark Curse. After this attack is resolved, for each wild in the attack roll, the defending character gains 1 of the following special conditions: bleed, shock, slow, or stun. So, first of all, he's only, we believe, the second character in the game to have access to, or not access to, but printed on his card, all 3 attack types. There are other characters that can do it through being able to choose. So I think Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, can choose. But Loki is the only other character that has all 3 printed on there. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a cool little tidbit. But for me, I often don't like spenders because I often find that they're not as valuable as the superpowers that a character will have. And I look to usually spend power on superpowers as opposed to spenders, but I think this is a really, really good spender. 4 power for 10 dice feels really good. He's size 4, so all of a sudden a tactics card like Smash, that's sort of exclusively being used on Dormammu up until now, feels like could be really good, especially with that Blood Boil attack as well. But yeah, and I love the fact that he can dish out multiple conditions as well. But Jonah, what's your thoughts on the spender?
On Butcher of everything.
Butcher of everything, yeah. It is weird that it's Butcher of Thors, but then there's nothing else in there that refers to it.
Yeah, he also gets a place within 1 as well. This guy is going to be everywhere. He is going to be super mobile, massive base, medium move, one of his superpowers that we'll come on to. Yeah, I really like it. But it's going to be like whenever I shoot full autos with Star-Lord, I'm just never going to roll wilds.
Yeah, but it's 10 dice. If you don't roll the wild, you've just been very, very unlucky, I think, haven't you? And that is something we will come on to, is his dice manipulation, because he doesn't have that. But I mean, let's be brutally honest.
I mean, he does.
Yeah, he does.
He fucking does.
He's got domino skills.
He's got the Cloak of Shadow. Sorry, I'm talking more around the. Sorry, let me rephrase that. The rerolls. So if you're fishing for those wilds, but yeah, he does have that.
I will also say from the 2 games I played with him, you get off Butcher of Thors a lot more often than I thought you would.
Well, to Jonah's point, he doesn't, other than ferocity, he doesn't have a lot that he's going to be consistently spending his power on every turn, does he? So, you get off 1 good Blade of Midnight, and all of a sudden you've got enough power for a Butcher of Thors very, very easily. So yeah, he doesn't. He's not going to be power hungry. So it means if you've got a good spender, you can reliably do it. But yeah, it's a really nice spread of attacks. Really nice spread of attacks. So Dark Council, this is the new leadership ability that we've got. So he is a leader for Cabal. So when this character or an allied character dazes or KOs an enemy character, choose another non-dazed allied character. After the effect is resolved, the chosen character may remove 1 power, may remove 1 damage, gain 1 power, and may advance short. A character can be affected by this leadership ability only once per round. Couple of interesting things here. It doesn't state non-grunt, which is really nice. Just the fact that it doesn't have that, I think, is really cool. But this is effectively reverse Sam Wilson, right? But with removing that grunt. And Jonah, to your point, he's already very mobile. With this, it makes him and the rest of the team so much more mobile as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it gives power instead of removing a condition, which is what Silence does. But yeah, it's a shame you can't get it yourself. Have Malekith butcher something and then take a little walk afterwards. But I think it's a strong leadership. He wants to kill stuff, right? So.
Oh, he really does. Yeah, he really, really does. Quinn, what are your thoughts on the leadership?
I could definitely see it being a viable strat to just have Malekith get a bunch of people really low, and then have everyone else start picking them off in order for you to get heals on Malekith, as well as getting everyone else into position. If you are fortunate enough to get like a turn 1 kill off with him, that potentially brings like a Killmonger or a Zemo online for a charge turn 1, which can be absolutely huge as well.
Yeah. So I was just grabbing the Red Skull card from from the chat as well.
Have you got those, by the way, Jonah? Because I can send them to you.
I've seen them in the spoiler chat. Well, I saw Strucker. We got Red Skull as well.
Yeah, we got Red Skull.
Yeah,
as well,
we just had Red Skull as well. So yeah. Let's have a quick catch up. How is this version so much cooler than the other versions people have seen? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Frank. Have people seen other versions of Malekith? I don't think.
Is he just saying that he's not as shit as the Christopher Eccleston one?
Maybe. Yeah, we've got Red Skull sat in a corner now for Cabal. I don't know about that. Do you think if people are playing Cabal now, this is the only leader they're going to play, Jonah, or do you still think Red Skull could get some play? I mean, Sin doesn't get a lot, but do you think he becomes the primary leader for Red Skull?
Probably, although he does like Red Skull's leadership because he is going to consistently do damage, and he does like getting teleported up as well. He could really be in your lines. So
he also doesn't mind a cosmic invig, right?
Yeah,
he really doesn't mind a cosmic invig. I mean, 11 points is tasty, isn't it? You probably bump it up to 14 if you're putting Zemo in there as your sort of third affiliated. But yeah, I mean, it probably doesn't do too bad against Red Skull. And I think there were probably just some times where you maybe don't want to run him. You know, is he going to struggle? Is he going to struggle on a 14 threat extract against a wider team, for example? Because we have seen that, you know, with the right setup, if you can go, you know, 5 or 6 wide on the lower threats, you can often very, very easily take down a single large big threat. And once that goes, then, you know, that's 50% of your threat allocation in one single character. So I think people will have to be very, very careful about how they play him. And I can't imagine too many people, at least competitively, just taking this as a mono leader in Cabal. I think people are going to be taking Red Skull alongside him as well. But yeah, I think he's an absolute beast of a character, and I'm looking forward to getting some games in. Quinn, you've already had a couple of games with him. What were your thoughts? How did he play?
He stabbed good. I like.
If you're taking Malekith in your roster, you have to take him. If he's in your roster and you don't put him on the board, you're just wrong.
Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I think he'll probably deal with other affiliations more than he'll deal with Red Skull, maybe. I think I made the point on one of the Discords. I don't know which one because I feel like I'm in about a million, but he could have been shitter than pre-nerf Bullseye, and I'd still be getting him because the model is amazing.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
It is stunning, isn't it? I mean, Quinn, we spoke about the model beforehand, didn't we? And the fact that they feel like they've really upped their game, like so far. Like it just feels really, really good. The quality of models that we've got now is significantly better than not even the core box, but going back a little bit, it feels really, really good. We do have, so let's jump on to, and I hope you guys have seen this, but the first of the brand new spoiled cards that we've got, and it's going to be the Black Bifrost. So this is a card for Cabal, but it's going to be a Malekith card. So it's a reactive team tactics card. During the power phase, Malekith the Accursed may spend 3 power to play this card. Place a Black Bifrost token within range 1 of Malekith the Accursed. Then place another Black Bifrost token within range 5. Feels like we've maybe seen something a little bit like this before. And then once per turn, during a character's activation, while within 1, it may suffer 1 damage to be placed within 1 of another Black Bifrost token. No talk there around like not being able to hold anything or anything like that. But I think in a world where herbs isn't a thing anymore, that's probably less of a thing than it was before. But this is not what I thought this card was going to be, and I'm a little bit surprised by it. It's obviously reminiscent of pentagrams, but what are your guys' thoughts on how good it is? I mean, I'm not getting good vibes. Yeah. Okay, so it's not just me that's crazy. The general consensus is.
No, we've chosen to validate you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's.
Right, and no one takes pentagrams.
Yeah.
Not only is it pentagrams, but it's pentagrams you take damage to use.
That's why I said it was shit pentagrams.
Yeah.
Pentagrams was already shit pentagrams.
Yeah. The shitter version of pentagrams, yeah.
I feel like the main person you want to use that is Malekith, and he's, as we've already discussed, so maneuverable. And by the time he's got the power to play it, he's killed people. He doesn't care. He's going wherever he wants.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. I think it's just not very good. Like it just doesn't feel very good at all. And yeah, I think Quinn, we were expecting it to be, I suppose, more reminiscent of maybe like the Bifrost for the Asgardians, where
I was expecting it to be like 3 power, range 3 teleport without an objective type deal. But I mean, it is what it is, I guess. Meh.
Yeah, I mean, look, we can't change it, right? As much as we would,
look,
as much as we'd love to.
Didn't need any more fucking help, did he?
He didn't, but it would have been nice to see. It would have been nice to see some other Cabal cards because they are a little, for I think either the second largest or third largest affiliation, they are lacking team tactics cards, right?
They've only got one, haven't they?
Well, they've got Dark Rain. Is it Dark Rain that lets you re-roll the dice? But then now their other 2 are attached to the leader that you take. So you've got Cosmic Invigoration from Red Skull, that's a Cabal card, and now we've got
actually a Cabal card.
Yeah, it's a Cabal affiliated card. Yeah. So interesting, but yeah, I'm not a fan in any way, shape, or form or that. Let's then, and I haven't read through this card yet, guys. So
I have.
But let's jump on to Red Skull.
Are we going for Red Skull over Baron Strucker first?
We're going to go Red Skull first because that was the card that I grabbed first.
Cool. Do you want to grab the tactic card they revealed for him as well?
I will try and do that. I'll read through the card first, and then I'll try and get
if
it.
you want, while you go and do that, I can give reading a go. Ooh.
You can't do reading.
I can do a reading.
Go on then, Quinn. You break down the card, and then me and Jonah will. This is uncharted territory, people. Uncharted territory. Quinn's taking the lead, but Quinn, go through Red Skull then.
All right, so we've got Red Skull, Master of Hydra, Johann Schmidt. You know, we all like Johann. He's a 5 threat, 4/2/2, so interesting stat line, not what you'd expect of a 5. 7 stamina, size 2, which makes sense. Medium move, and it is important to note he's on a 50 mil base, so he's faster than most characters. His first attack is a Blitz Strike, which is range 3, 6 dice, 0 cost because it's a builder. It's a 1 power static builder though. And it's got 2 triggers. It's got a Wild Hit Blitz, which means after the attack is resolved, Red Skull gets to move short. Or it's got a Wild Shield Push, which is a size 3 push before damage is dealt. Which is pretty good for a builder. And it's not going to get you a lot of power, but it gives you some interesting options. What do you think, Jonah?
Yeah, range 3 on that big base as well. I think he's going to catch people out, how quickly he can get to them. Also, isn't it an or? He can hit both of those, right? A wild,
yeah, you can hit both,
and a hit will get him both the effects.
And it's not super unlikely on the 6 dice either. And then as his big old spender, we've got kneel before me, and you have to say it like that because I said so. It's range to 9 dice, 5 power, so it's expensive. You get to choose the attack type between energy or mystic. And it's got a wild throw off the back, which is size 4, and it's a medium throw. Which, there aren't many attacks that have a medium throw off the back of them. Typically, they're usually short. That seems pretty good. I'm not sure it's worth the full 5. It's kind of reminiscent of, is it Power of the Cube from the OG Red Skull?
Yeah. But that's a range 4 attack, I believe, right?
Range 4 attack, it's 2 less dice, but it's got the stun trigger, and I think the throw's guaranteed on damage.
The throw's guaranteed on damage. It's also unrestricted. He's one of only 4 or 5 characters that can throw Dormammu. Which, I mean, we always say that, but it's not a massive thing because Dormammu's not seen very often. But yeah, it's not bad.
You're never going to do it because you need your power for something else.
Yeah,
you do.
I mean,
you do need your power for something else.
As a little prelude to the something else, we'll go through the rest of his card, and the little something else might make everything make more sense. I mean, first of all, we've got his Hydra leadership, world domination. During the power phase, all characters gain 1 power if they are holding or contesting an objective token. So if you're holding a cube, that's 2 power extra, which is pretty damn good. Then we've got
if you're holding a is it cumulative, Quinn, on that? Let me just double check.
It will be, yeah.
Is it?
Because the cube effect is separate to the leadership.
No, sorry. Holding or contesting.
You won't gain multiple power for holding multiple cubes from the leadership. You'll just gain 1.
That's what I wanted to double check. Yeah.
Then we've got Empowered Gauntlets, which is an active 2-cost superpower. During the next Blitz Strike, which is his builder, he adds blanks, which means you can really start to push damage out with that. Then we've got something that's very interesting: all-consuming obsession. This character takes 1 damage and gains 2 power. This can only be used once per turn rather. It's like synthesis, but it's not an action, and you're just hurting yourself to do it.
It's crazy.
Now, I wonder, Rich and Jonah, why would you want to do that just to gain power? Then we've got the Leviathan armor, which is going to explain away his interesting defensive stat line. So during the power phase, he's kind of like Vision. You pick to either have the dispersion field up or the null field. So the dispersion field is you get 3 extra dice against energy attacks, so you go from 4/2/2 to 4/5/2. And you cannot be pushed or advanced by the effects of Mystic Attacks or enemy superpowers, so he becomes Juggernaut, which is pretty damn good.
It's pretty good, yep.
Then we've got the null field, which is the same, but this time you get additional mystic defense dice, and he can't have collisions. Which, of the two, I think I prefer the extra energy defense dice, because it makes him less susceptible to control, and also with 4 physical defense anyway, probably not too worried about collisions. I don't know what you two think about that.
I think it's always going to depend on what you're coming up against, isn't it? But I think not being not being pushed for me, because he doesn't feel like he's going to be a huge attrition character. At least in my, feels like he could have a little bit more control. And I think not being pushed off is really good. And I think, yeah, you're probably right. You're not too worried about the collision damage with 4. So it's going to be very situational, right? Obviously the one thing he doesn't have is the ability to switch that on a whim.
Yeah, he's got no sort of rapid phasing ability, which means if you do choose poorly, or you end up coming up against something like Sorcerer Supreme Strange who gets to choose, he is potentially going to be susceptible to that.
Yeah.
And then his final superpower is cut off 1 head, 2 more will take its place. Doesn't say that, but that's what it means. So if you don't know, this Red Skull comes with grunts. We don't know what the grunts actually do at the moment, but I imagine it will be fairly standard grunt stuff. When you choose Red Skull to activate, if there aren't Hydra Troopers on the board, place them into play within range 1 of them, they get a stagger token. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, I think means that they will get to activate before Skull.
If an allied trooper is not in play when this character is chosen to activate, place them into play. It depends on the wording, doesn't it?
Fairly certain that when you choose a parent character to activate, you would do the grunts first if they're on the board. I think that's the wording of the rule. I'm not 100% on it though.
I think Quinn's right there. I think when you're choosing him to activate, the fact that they pop in before you actually activate him means they will get an extra action, which is nice, depending how good they are.
Yeah, we'll see.
Maybe that's like counter. Maybe the Hydra Troopers don't have anything on entry like the ninjas do, for example, right? Maybe that's a way to. The stagger is a way to counter the fact that you don't just want to bring them in and let them have 2 attacks. You bring them in, they can only do 1 because they don't have something they do when they come in. Because if they had something they did when they came in, it would feel a little bit overpowered, I think. We don't know, right? There could be 1s across the board and a 2 power attack. So we don't know. But I think it feels like that's why the stagger's been put on there, because they don't have a reactive ability upon entering the field.
It makes sense. And just before we go on to his tactic card, I did just want to mention something with his leadership. If you've got, say, a 65mm base character, and you're on like an E map or a D map, and you place them on that central objective near your deployment, they're starting round 1 with an additional power.
Malekith, Hulk, Ghost Rider, MODOK.
Yeah, sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it's it's the not only that, Quinn. If they are then playing, is it Cosmic Vaults, whatever the Black Order one is, they then get to roll for the extra power as well.
Make sure you backstop them.
You have to backstop them, absolutely.
Casually having your Hulk start turn 1 with 6 power sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Let's have a quick catch up on chat. God. Let's have a quick look. I bet they have something that removes them from the table like the ninjas. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I feel like the ninjas like the sort of like disappear thing. Feels very ninja-y. I think they may have the feeling of just like endless grunts. Like, there's no limit to how many Hydra soldiers there are. I do agree, Quinn. I think I think they will activate first. But what do you think, Jonah? I mean, it's always nice getting a new leader. It's always nice getting a new affiliation, right? But how do you think this is going to stack up against everything else that's out there at the moment?
Yeah, I like him. I think we need to see a bit more of Hydra. I'm hoping this is going to lead to a bit of a splitting out, and Cabal stops being everyone who once stole someone's lunch money affiliation, and so you're just left with like Malekith, Enchantress, Scourge, all the actual members of the Cabal, and then Hydra is a new affiliation. I think that would be interesting to see. I'd really like to see how many wounds this version of Red Skull has on his injured side.
Yeah, that could be a really big factor.
Well,
he wants to hurt himself.
He does.
He really does. And, you know, seven on a 5 threat is okay. You know, it's not the most we've seen.
Yeah. Well, the average overall health is about 14 for a 5, right?
14, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see where he comes. You know, if I had to guess, I would say his card doesn't change front and back. If I had to guess.
See, something is telling me that he's... I want to say he's 7-8.
Oh, you think he's like a reverse Ghost Rider?
I think he becomes slightly tankier on his flip side.
Got chat saying, as long as Captain America is Hydra affiliated too, which would be funny. That would be funny to say the least. And speaking of Captain America, we've just had his card. So give me.
Aren't you glad you signed up for this episode of the Bugle, Jonah? Hope you've not got anything to do later today.
We've barely talked about Team Tournament as well. We'll need to come back and have a little chat. Should we talk about? Well, Rich gets Camp's card. Should we talk about
the silly tactic card?
Yeah, man.
Let's do this then.
Jonah, do you want to do the honours and read this one out?
Shall I read it? Okay. Occult Research, which is an awesome name. It's Hydra, and it's active. During the power phase, Red Skull, Master of Hydra, may spend 10 power. That's right, 10 power, all on his own. So it best be good. Red Skull and all characters within 2 of him gain a stagger token, which is situationally amazing because you could.
I mean, if you just bomb into the middle of the enemy team, it's pretty good.
And then he gains the following superpower for the rest of the game. Arcane Invigoration. This character may perform an additional action each activation. I love it. I think it's great. And we're going to see the internet trying to think about how they can get this in, obviously as early as possible, because the sooner you can get this out, the more you can maximize it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. I'm fairly certain you can do it top of 2. He starts with 1, he does his superpower to go to 3, then next round he gets another 1, you're standing on an objective. It might be difficult, but like you can have 1 give him a power, you need 4. If he does a whippy thing round 1, that's another 1. He's holding a cube, that's another 1.
I think doing it round 2 is optimistic.
Very optimistic, yeah.
Yeah. When do you pay for cards? Would you gain the power from the crisis before you do that? Is it crisis?
Yes. Yeah. You would be able to choose, I think. So you would be able to.
Do you have to do this in the power phase?
Yeah. So, but this works a little bit like, the Criminal Syndicate one.
All according to plan,
Jonah.
Yeah.
So you're able to get your power first, and then spend that power on all according to plan.
Right.
I mean, you can advance R&D onto him. I mean, does Wong become an auto include in in Hydra now? Do we need to paint up Wong with some Hydra colours? I'm not sure, but
auto include nowhere.
Quite simply, if anyone punches Red Skull, they're an idiot.
Oh, absolutely. You do not want to touch this.
You leave him alone.
It is the way I thought it. Player effects happen first, then non-player effects. So I think he has to pay for this before he gains power from the leadership. Because that is the same with all according to plan.
Yeah, that's what I said. So it's the same as all according to plan. So he'll gain his own power first,
Yeah.
and then he'll have to play.
Bolt
Just-
reset.
Yeah.
Then
Well, no, they are both player effects, so you choose the order. Between the leadership and the card, you would choose the order because they're both player effects.
yes, okay.
It's going to be interesting.
Do crises happen first or after?
Crisis is the
Like,
last thing to happen.
would he
aren't they?
get power from Infinity Formula and cubes or not?
I think they are non-player effects, aren't they? So they happen live.
So, okay. So, I think you can definitely do it round 3. You're probably not doing it round 2.
Yeah, round 3 is probably relatively easy. He takes the damage twice. That's 4. The one he starts with is 5. A 6 if he's on an objective. So he needs to get a couple then.
Yeah,
So, I mean, you want to try and get some stuns on him. You want to try and get some poisons on him.
Yeah.
Like, you need to, characters like Deadpool, who can
Merc with the mouth.
is it Voodoo who can burn through your power as well?
Anyone
Characters
with
that
sap.
can sap, like or Ghost Rider walks up to him. If he's got 5 power, just walks up to him and just hopefully drains power off him as well with Penance Stare. So there's ways to counter it, but yeah, I mean, it's bloody good, right? Like it's.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the statistic that the average game of MCP lasts 4 rounds?
I don't know.
think
Roughly 4 rounds. We can say 5. I'm just thinking, if you're getting it off top of 3, you're only actually let's say the game goes 5 rounds, you're only actually getting 2 extra actions from this the entire game. So I think actually one of the big ways that you're going to need to make use of this card is by ensuring that he gives out those stagger tokens to the enemy team as well.
Well, he takes stagger himself, so one of those rounds he's still only getting his 2.
Which is why it's only 2 after the 5 rounds, because he's not getting it in the round 3 when he plays it.
It's spicy.
It's an interesting one.
It's a real interesting one, guys. Speaking of interesting, I don't know if you've seen this yet, and I'm not listening, so I'm just gonna have you seen the new terrain they've just released?
No.
So I'm just gonna fire this on. So we've got
Is
Hydra
this
bunkers,
new Hydra?
Hydra turrets, and a Hydra tank
Is that Red Skull out the
with
top
Red
of it?
Skull in the top of it.
I love it.
Like, I mean, is this a thing now? I don't know.
This is where they turn around and go, oh yeah, we've got a 3rd Red Skull driving a tank.
Maybe
And
I
this
should...
one's 6th threat.
It's an interesting one, to say the
Do
least.
you reckon you can fit that tank on a 50mm base and use it for the new Red Skull?
But yeah, I mean, I think Red Skull's good, in my opinion, guys. I think the card is nice. I'm going to be able to get it off every single game. Probably not. Are you going to play it? Is it going to make your 10? I'd imagine so. Are you going to be able to play it every game?
I think it makes the 10 just for the memes.
Oh, absolutely. Like it's for me, it's like a lovable Misfits. If you don't take this card with Hydra, you're not playing that affiliation, right? Even if it's not the greatest card ever. I think yeah.
Lovable Misfits. Don't you mean Avengers Assemble, Rich?
Or stun my entire team. That's typically how it ends up. But yeah, what do you guys think of the tank with Red Skull in it? Like,
pretty cool looking.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah, I there's some chatting on the channel saying that it might be linked to an alternate. So.
I'm hoping it is. Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
I am hoping it is, because that would be really cool.
I do like the idea of playing on a board with that tank whilst having like an actual Red Skull on the table being played as well, and just be like, oh, he's even pointing. So if you sculpt one of your Red Skull models pointing, you could do the Spider-Man thing.
Guys, let's go on to Baron Strucker, aka Wolfgang von Strucker.
Oh yeah, Wolfgang.
Wolfgang von Strucker. So, Quinn, I think first of all, our theory, or should I say your theory? If they're correct, they're our. If they're wrong, they're your theories. That's how it works.
Yeah,
But
sure.
your theory of it being a leadership card, I think, goes out the window because this is a second leader for Hydra. But let's go through his card. So Baron von Strucker, aka Wolfgang von Strucker, 4/3/3 for his defensive stats. He's going to be a 5 stamina on his front. He's going to be a 3 threat character, size 2, medium move. We don't know what he's going to be on his backside yet, so we won't go into that. But Plasma Blast, range 3, 5 strength, power equal to damage dealt. Incinerate on a wild. Another 3 threat character that has a builder almost as good as Cabal, which does make me chuckle quite a lot. And then his second is The World Is Mine.
No, shout it in a German accent.
I refuse. Look, these videos get demonetized and struck enough without me going, The world is mine!
Jawohl!
So range 2, 7 strength, 4 power. After its resolve, remove 1 damage from itself for each damage dealt.
So many snacks.
Yeah, which is pretty good. Let's read his leadership, and I'm already really happy with Hydra Quinn and Jonah, sorry, because we've got a 5 threat and a 3 threat leader. I really like that we've got the options.
It's a real nice bit of variance. Like, you could go super wide with Hydra, because I imagine they're going to end up with characters like Zemo and Viper as well.
You would think so, yeah. So Hydra High Council, affiliation Hydra. Once per turn, after an attack made by an allied character is resolved, if the attack dealt damage, the allied character may use this leadership ability. Choose 1 special condition the allied character has. If the defending enemy character does not have the chosen special condition, it gains it, and then the allied attacking character loses that special condition. Additionally, once per turn, when an enemy character gains a special condition, the allied character that caused the effect may remove 1 damage from itself. It's another wordy one, but very different to anything we've seen before. Which
I
really like it. And
also, actually, like, sort of the healing portion of it just sort of evokes the idea of Hydra to me as well, of like sort of just the constant regeneration. Yeah.
I mean, you start putting in characters here that dish them out. It's really nice. Jonah, what's your thoughts? No?
They have to move it from themselves, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be so situational. I mean, Baron Strucker can give out poison to his friends, his next thing that we'll get to. But then if you don't put damage through, you've just ended up keeping the poison on yourself. I think we need to see what else the affiliation brings, but I think it's a crap leadership.
Yeah, even with the heal.
Yeah, because you only heal if you pass off a special condition from yourself to an enemy. What if you never have any special conditions on yourself?
No, you don't only heal. So if I'm Baron Zemo and I dish out a bleed, I put bleed on my opponent and I gain a heal. I don't have to pass it from myself to the character. So they're separate. They're separate ones, or at least Quinn. That's how I'm reading it. I want to.
What did you say again?
So yeah, no, all right,
yeah.
So the leadership is actually quite good. Yeah.
So
I don't like the first bit at all, but that one's okay.
Yeah, I mean.
Right, yeah. So let's say you had like a Zemo stabbing someone, and he rolled a wild with his sword. He would heal off the back of that.
It's like you just said that, Bridge.
It's almost like yeah.
It's almost like I don't listen to this prick. I mean, also just having a quick think. Hood seems like a very good choice for like being taken with Strucker. because you heal someone for 3, you give them bleed, and then they activate, hit someone, and transfer that bleed off.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad point.
That's the thing I was thinking of whilst I wasn't listening to you, so I feel like it was worth it.
Also, Baron von Strucker here, right? He is. I'm just gonna let's go through the rest of his card, and I'll share things that I'm thinking about. So, Death Spore Virus, 2 power. Other characters within range 3. So other characters, so everyone, allies and enemies, gain the poison special condition. The fact he's got a reactive superpower called Arrogance is amazing. When this character,
clearly a character for me.
When this character is attacking, before rolling attack dice, you may use this superpower. During this attack, add skulls into the attack roll to the total number of successes for the attack roll. During this attack, add skulls in the defense roll in the total number in the defense roll. So you've got to do it before you roll dice, so you don't know. But for 1 power, if you've got it, it's probably not bad.
It is very unlikely to be something that actually fucks you over. At worst, you're probably going to maintain parity.
Yeah, I agree.
But also, I think it's very interesting to note that Death Spore Virus is range 3. That's a long way to just give everyone poison.
It is, and I'll go into a second in a moment why I think it's really good. Strategic Genius. This character and other allied characters within range 2 may reroll 1 die in their attack or defense rolls.
Zemo, baby!
And then healing factor 1. So that Death Spore Virus, if you walk Strucker into the middle of a group of 5 enemies, spend 2 power, you can't heal him for 5 because he doesn't have that thing. But no, what do you mean once per turn?
The heal is once per turn.
It is, yeah. But even so, he can heal himself from that. He's got the World is Mine that he can heal from. He's got healing factor. I think he's going to be
resilient.
Have a lot more maybe resilient is the right word as opposed to tanky. But yeah, Jonah, what's your thoughts on him?
He's okay. I don't think he's exciting as a Red Star. I've just been distracted by the other stuff that's just been spoiled. Sentinels are here, boys. As our Blob and Pyro.
Oh wow, yeah.
Just the models though, no cards.
Just the models, no cards yet.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
I do like 3 threat leaders. Oh, we've got another rivals panel. Sorry. I like 3 threat leaders. Yeah, I like the opportunity to go wide. I think his leadership's a bit funky, although the second part of it is good. I mean, no one's crying about taking Zemo, right? He's great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's not the only reason. Zemo's a really good 3 threat, if not the best 3 threat in the game, because he brings that support element with the rerolls for everyone, as well as being just himself a really good 3 threat character. Yeah. But I think, I think he could do the same, and double bubble of the 2 barons together, or 2 of the 3 barons together, I think is going to be pretty darn good.
So one thing to mention.
Can you be affected by Strategic Genius twice?
So if you have a singular die left to re-roll, and you re-roll it once with Zemo, you cannot then re-roll it with Strucker.
Yes, but you could re-roll 2 separate dice.
So a singular die cannot be affected more than once by the same effect.
Yeah.
Same named effect.
Yeah. Is that your thought on it as well? Jonah, is that how you think they'll do it?
Read the wording. I'll just read this guy. Maybe roll 1 dice. I know I've got a different reading. I think we need a rules forum on it. I think you get Strategic Genius and you only get it once, and after you get it, you choose the dice. I don't think it applies to different dice.
Okay.
Oh,
interesting.
Okay.
Because Strategic Genius just says this character enters into me, reroll 1 dice in their attack or defense roll, but it's Strategic Genius would be the stacking effect there, wouldn't it? you'd still be trying to stack strategic genius.
Mm.
We'll get a forum question on because
Yeah,
There will that absolutely needs a
needs an FAQ.
needs an FAQ on that one. But yeah, right, guys, let's jump on to the next card
El Capitan.
because there's been one or two, hasn't there, revealed whilst we've been doing this, which always nice when you get extra things to talk about. But it is a brand new Captain America, Mr. Captain America Steve Rogers. Oh, Quinn, is that your... There we go. He's muted himself. Captain America, Steve Rogers, Captain America. Okay, Jonah. So that's going to be the differentiation, isn't it? That they're using there is his name. So it's Steve Rogers, Captain America, and then his alias is Steve Rogers, whereas the other one was Captain America with his alias as Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little bit confusing. So what it means is any card that states Captain America, so things like Ricochet Blast, Thunderwave, not that people use it,
Till the end of the line.
Till the end of the line, this character is not going to be able to use all of those old tactics cards that were usable with those characters. But let's go through this then. So Steve Rogers, Captain America, 4/4/3, 6 stamina on his front, 4 threat, size 2, medium move. I think we've seen that he's already on a small base. Stars and Stripes, range 3, 5 cost, power equal to damage dealt, and he has a flurry. So on a wild and a block, that looks like. After the attack is resolved, you may make a Stars and Stripes attack. This additional attack does not have the flurry special rule, so you can attack any other character as long as they're within range 3, or the character that you've just attacked. I don't like bullies. Range 2, 7 strength, costs 3. It's got a throw on a wild after the attack. It's going to be size 3 or less, and it's going to be a medium throw, and it's going to be omnidirectional, so any direction. And then on a wild and a hit language, after the attack is resolved, the target character gains the stun and slow special condition. Breaking those two down, what are your thoughts, Quinn, on his attacks?
One, I love the theming of them.
They are good.
Language is really cool. I also... It's not really a theming thing, but I like the fact that his flurry is off of a wild and a shield. Because he's Captain America, and he likes shields.
There you go.
He's also got range 3 strike as a builder is really, really good. And also, once again, another throw off the back of an attack that goes medium. That seems to be sort of a bit of a theme with this release wave, and I really like it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the fact that it's any direction as well is really nice. Jonah, what's your initial thoughts of his stat line and his 2 attacks?
Yeah, he's aggressive Steve rather than protective Steve, right? I get what you're saying, Quinn, about his flurry, but normally a flurry's on a wild and a hit, right?
Wild crit they are.
Wild crit usually, apart from Corvus.
And Okoye, who's just a wild.
Yeah,
Okoye's just a wild, yeah.
But yeah, aggressive Steve. I guess we'll see what affiliations he's in to see whether he gets taken. I presume it's going to be a shield.
You'd assume shield.
I get the feeling it's just going to be shield. I don't know where else you'd see him really.
Well, I think this is Steve before Iron Man and those guys. They're not even born, right? The Avengers have not been formed whilst these are here. So
this is Steve when he goes in and breaks Bucky and the Howling Commandos out of the Hydra prison.
Yeah, exactly.
In the first Avenger.
Exactly that. So we've got on your left, 2 power. You get to make a medium advance as long as you are not holding an objective. I've knocked out tyrants over 200 times, which is a great title. Reactive superpower. While this character is attacking during the modified dice step of the attack, it may use his superpower. You may reroll any number of your attack dice. Only used once per turn, but it costs 3. And then Vibranium Shield, when you're being targeted by an attack, you get to add 2 dice to your defense roll. So, I mean, some nice kit there as well. Probably a character that actually wouldn't feel too bad, even though he can't be, under Steve Rogers' leadership in the Avengers, right? Like, he's got a lot of stuff there that's quite nice.
It's fine. He can come and work for Red Skull under Hydra.
What are your overall thoughts then, Quinn?
Aside from the card itself, I really hate Scale Mail Steve. I think it looks dumb. No, I don't like it aesthetically. I'm not super sure about the I've knocked out tyrants over 200 times. It feels a tad expensive for what it is.
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree. Three power feels a lot. Feels a lot.
I think if he had a larger dice pool, I'd have been okay. Like, I'd have been happier with it. Or if it had been like a thing you prepay for, but it's attack action, so potentially he gets on the Stars and Stripes strike plus the flurry, maybe. That might have made it more valuable in my eyes.
Yeah. No, I do agree. I think that feels one power too much. But yeah, Jonah, what about yourself?
Yeah, so same thing I thought about the reactive superpower, because you're probably not going to have 6 power to use it on items like bullies that much. Often you're going to want to use it on a 5 dice strike.
Yeah, it does. I mean, maybe you. I don't know. It's just so hard, isn't it? Like, if you if you spend it on the stars, and stripes, and you're fishing for your flurry, is that then worth? I don't. It could pay for itself back over 2 5 dice builders.
You pay for it after seeing what your final roll is before modification. So potentially, if you do the attack, your initial roll is 3 crits. They don't then, transfer into anything else, and you've got 8 dice in the pool with just 3 successes. Definitely worth it in that case, but it's very niche, I feel.
I would agree. But yeah, I think, look, we need to see where he's going to be. I think he's only going to be in Shield. I can't see him being anywhere else. I think he's a solid 4 threat. I think he's a much more solid 4 threat than original Steve was if he'd have been out in the game now. Compare him to the likes of, because this is the benchmark now, right? You've got, Colossus, Elektra, Ursa Major, right? He is an absolute step above those other 4 threats that we've seen. And Quinn, I always say that I think a 4 threat should be self-sufficient. I think
very much feel this Steve is.
I think he feels like he is. I'd like to see if he's got. I feel like he is missing a bit of a ranged attack with his shield throw, but maybe that comes in the form of a tactics card.
It's not a ranged attack, but like his strike does have an enhanced range to it comparatively to others.
Yeah.
I do also think it's going to be very important to mention that in this box and the new Howling Commando Fury box, there is a shared card between the two of them.
There is,
called Over the Top, which I am fairly certain is going to be a Shield leadership card that can either be on this Steve or on the new Fury.
I'm just reading what Swedish Troll put. Don't you lump in Ursa with Elektra, Rich. You apologise right now. So Cap is the last character card, guys. But just to quickly show you guys, we did have a couple of other things. So, as expected, we did have a couple of X-Men things. So we do have Blob and Pyro, but just the actual models themselves. But I mean, we obviously don't know anything about the characters yet. But Jonah, what's your thoughts on the models and how they look? Are you happy with the aesthetics of them, or?
Yeah, I think they both look fantastic. I want to see their cards.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a little bit like we got last time with the X-Men, where they because there was a lot that we didn't get to see, wasn't there? And we had to wait for the following weeks.
Someone made a point that this panel that they've been spoiling everything on is called like Asgard to Earth, right?
Earth to Asgard, yeah.
No Asgard, not a single Asgard.
Yeah, no Asgard so far. Yeah.
Just the guy who really, really hates them.
Yeah, who they showed in a transmission before.
Yes. I mean, it's going to be great when they turn around at the end and just go, bam, Odin.
It's finished, by the way. It's finished, and they haven't, Quinn. So
I can hold out hope. I can pretend it hasn't
shit.
ended, and that I'm going to get Odin.
I hate to shit on your parade. If
No, you fucking don't.
If
You love
Blob
it, you little
does
shit.
not have Invulnerable 2, I'm gonna be very disappointed. Like,
I mean, he's got to have an ability that just stops him being pushed.
oh god, yeah. Pyro 2 threat or 3 threat? What are we thinking?
3 threat. I don't think you can I mean, Toad is a 2 threat that does incinerate, but I feel like incinerate is Pyro's whole deal. Don't think you can afford to have a 2 threat with like incinerate on a builder.
Probably
Let's just hope they don't make the Ghost Rider mistake and not make him immune to incinerate.
what the man on fire, Jonah. That's
Not even a man on fire.
not,
He's a skeleton on fire.
he's a mutant on fire. Is this one? Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, I'd like to see a beam attack. You know, that dishes
Yeah,
out
that'd be cool.
incinerate. That would be quite nice. They said.
I could see him having like something akin to Mordo's Soul Barb, where because his whole thing is pyrokinesis, right? He can move fire around.
Yeah.
Like he just controls fire. I could see him like shoving fire from one person to another.
Yeah. So the sort of the explosion thing. Just reading chat there as well. They've said on stream these are going to be lower threat options for the Brotherhood.
Yeah. Which
So
I think is also really gonna like make Mystique a lot more viable as a leader.
Oh yeah, if these are
'Cause,
two,
like,
if these are
Gambit
2-3
and
threats,
Rogue-
then yeah.
Like Gambit, Rogue, and Jugs already did a lot to help her out earlier in this year, but having those 2 extra 3 threats means you can go real wide with Mystique.
They said that Malekith is the first 7 they've released, and then followed it up that yes, there are more 7s in the pipeline.
Oh, Odin. Yes.
Jonah, let me ask you, because I already know the answer from him. If you could pick any character to be the next 7 threat that's not Odin, because that's Quinn's answer, I don't need to ask him that. What?
Answer Odin, Jonah. Answer Odin. Manifest Destiny.
I mean, can I say 2?
Go on.
Is Doom.
Doom. Yep.
Yeah.
And Jean Grey Phoenix.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Phoenix or Dark Phoenix?
Oh, yeah, regular Phoenix, I think.
And then maybe a Dark Phoenix as like an 8 potentially.
Because we can have Jean, Dead Jean, and Dead Bad Jean.
I'd like to see Jean in a with an ultimate encounter, and she's the Phoenix in the game, and then she's the Dark Phoenix for the actual ultimate encounter. I think that would be quite cool and quite thematic.
Yeah.
One,
yeah.
Silver Surfer.
What's that, Jonah?
I want another one, Silver Surfer.
Would he be 7 threat?
I mean, he's real. He's got the power cosmic, right? He's pretty strong.
He does, but characters are toned down in this game.
I'd probably say he's a 6.
I don't think they'd even put him at that. If I'm being brutally honest,
I think they would.
We also got Sentinels.
Yeah.
Which I think we did get told these were going to be an ultimate encounter. I don't think they're going to be playable in the game, which would be interesting, because I don't think they've done that before, where they've released something that's just an ultimate encounter. But yeah, really good. Yeah, chat saying Apocalypse. That would probably be my choice.
I mean, are you going to ask me the question now, so I can say?
I don't
ask me the damn question, Rich.
Quinn, who would you want as a 7 threat?
Odin.
I mean, it has to be Odin, right? There's no other choice.
He's either a 7 threat or he's an 8 because he's got an 8-legged horse.
Do we see a Thor with the goats? That's all I want to know. That would be good. And then we got our latest Rivals panel, and this thing, or not Rivals panel, sorry, but latest Rivals pack, this thing is glorious.
I don't give a flying fuck about the miniatures, but I really like the bunker.
Oh, no, see, I like the miniatures as well. I think the miniatures look really, really nice. Jonah, what are
with
your
a silly hat on?
What are your thoughts?
I love it. I really want to see the back of the bunker because the Spider-Man one is basically useless. It's a lovely display piece, but you can't use it in the game. And I really hope this one's functional.
Yeah.
I love the whole set. I love the models.
I think
the painting. I don't know if they've got a new painter or something, but Blob and Pyro in this Rivals panel just look really, really good.
Yeah, they've got a different feel about them, haven't they? I think it feels like they're moving from, and I'd bundle the Malekith paint job in there as well, Jonah, but they feel like they're moving. You know, like the original sort of lot were very, very comic book, and I'm not going to say cartoony, but very vibrant colours, very oversaturated. Very comic booky. But these things look like. I think I said it about the Malekith, mold and paint job. Like, that would not have looked out of place on the cover of White Dwarf magazine, and people would have believed it was a new Age of Sigmar character, right? It looked like that sort of thing. But yeah, I really, really like it. I really, really like it. I love the alternative sculpts. I love Sabretooth. I know people don't. I think Sabretooth is an underrated character.
Has he got a silly bandana on?
I think
a hairband?
He may have a silly bandana on, yeah.
Oh, but they're such boomer characters.
Someone has just said in the chat that this isn't just alternative models, that they come with new tactics and character cards.
Oh, now I am even more
excited. Is this how they fix Wolverine?
Well, they already did. It's called X-23.
I mean, yeah, they did.
I wouldn't call that fixing Wolverine. I'd call that making him sadder.
Now, I want to ask you guys, and it's just one thing that's popped into my head here then. So, if that is true, let's say that it is, if that's what they've said in the stream, this is not going to be a $35 character pack because it comes with
80 quid.
A big-ass piece of terrain. What are your thoughts on having two, let's be honest, two beloved characters, because they're from the 90s X-Men TV show, behind a $80, $90 paywall because you've got to buy the terrain with it?
Deadpool.
That was only
Deadpool, yeah. I mean, so I think if that is what they were to do, which I am dubious of them having updated cards, I imagine they will make them available online for print. Because I think if you don't do that...
No, they're saying it's a new character. It's not even going to... He's not even going to be X-Men affiliated.
What? Oh, what? So it's not Wolverine, it's like Logan or whatever.
I don't know if it's... It looks like it's going to be Logan, doesn't it? Yeah.
Not
Old Man Logan, no. But... and apparently the Sentinels are going to be their own affiliation as well.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
I do wonder how much those Sentinels are going to cost, considering there's 3 of the fuckers. I
mean, I've got some really nice ones already from the Marvel United, so I think I'll probably just end up using them. If I mean, how many Sentinels do you actually need? But well, that was a lot more stuff than what we thought we were going to go through.
I mean, I suppose now we should probably talk about the team event, which is why we have Jonah here.
It is, and apologies, Jonah, because your thing was sort of interrupted somewhat, but all good stuff at least that we got to talk about. How did it go for you guys? What Jonah? We've both been to 3-player team events before. This was a 5-player team event. Do you want to run through the restrictions that were made around the deck building and how that impacted what you how it impacted your decision making when you came to building your rosters, and how much of a pain in the ass Quinn was when when he jumped up and down because he didn't get what he wanted.
So it was what's become known as Highlander, I think, in popular terminology. So it's only one of everything. The exception for this one, because we were 5-man teams, was Crisis. So Crisis, you had to take all of the Crisis cards across your team, and then you could start doubling up on whichever ones that you wanted. We put our team together on TTS. We just went into a TTS room, pulled out all the cards, worked out what we wanted to play, and then had some negotiations. Quinn did get what he wanted quite a lot. So
Look,
Mike,
I'm very good at bullying people. What could I say?
yeah. So Mike E, who's Mike East, I think gave the most from his roster. So he's from Syndicate and he's been playing for a long time. I think he gave up Medpack to Chris, who was playing Web Warriors. He gave up Lizard to Quinn, who jumped up and down and cried and screamed. He gave up Black Cat to Chris as well, because we decided Chris was going to have Legacy Virus.
He also gave up Zemo to me, I believe.
Yeah,
And I just want to interject there as well, Jonah, just to clarify to people. So the rosters for this game were locked, weren't they, before the announcement of Standard Play came out, and because it was a five-man team event, Tony, I think, made the right choice to stick with the old version of the rules, not using the new standard timeline rules. So if you're hearing things like Medpack and field dressing and Deadly Legacy Virus, that's the reason why. So apologies, Jonah. Carry on.
Yeah, it was the final swan song for them, and I agree. I think Tony made the right decision. We list locked the week before they dropped, and I'm not sure how those restrictions would work with standard now with 5-player teams. So everyone gave up a bit. We all made some compromises. I'd seen some chat beforehand about whether some teams, and I think this used to happen in War Machine. I never actually played War Machine, but in their big team events where you just stack 3 players with all the best things and chuck the other 2 under the bus. I don't think any teams did that. Everyone had some negotiation. So I got all my secures, for example. I was running my Guardians of the Galaxy list that I've been running for a little while. I got all the secures I wanted, but I had to give up 2 of the extracts, and I paid to flip extra. So okay. Yeah, Mike definitely gave up the most. I had to give up Follow Me to our Avengers player who ran double Hulks for a lot of the day, which felt fair enough.
Yeah, no, it's always going to be a compromise, isn't it? And it's always going to be a balance when you're playing a team game, especially with Highlander. But I think the good thing now is that the game isn't so much in its infancy anymore, where it is viable now to play a 5-man team event. Back in almost a year ago when I did mine in November, I don't really think it would have been viable to do Highlander with 5 team members. But I think, although it's a bit of a stretch, there's definitely enough now. And how did you decide? I suppose two questions. How was the pairing decision done from the rule set, and also what was the team's thought process when you came up against another team as to how you approached that pairing process?
So we looked at rosters, the opposing team's rosters, and I don't know if anyone's seen the process, but basically you put 1 down, they put 2 down against it, and you choose which one you want. Then you do the same, and then you have the middle ones. There's a video, so I won't go through that in any depth. We identified the rosters and worked out who we thought needed to go down first, which I think was me or the Avengers player in every round.
Yeah, you were typically our generalist all-comers.
Yeah, so you were Guardians, weren't you, Jonah? So I kind of get that.
With Thanos as a leader, and lots of cards that are now either out of the game or restricted. And the Avengers player also had a very flexible roster. So we went down first every round. We identified matchups we tended to want to avoid. So Quinn was playing Convocation, so he generally wanted to avoid Magneto throwing the world in his face.
Yeah, typically my approach for figuring out what I wanted to go into was whether they had the same extracts as I did. Because if they did, it meant it was relatively easy for me to get a very early lead because of just the way Convocation work with regard to extracts. Of like running up into your opponent's zone, grabbing them and hopping away. And just like effectively just having that VP deficit.
That's fair
That
enough.
was a really interesting thing in the team tournament, I think, because of those concessions that you had to make in crises, that you had to take them all. You saw a lot of affiliations perhaps running some crises that they wouldn't normally. So that made the matchups that extra bit interesting, I think. And I'll give him some props. Quinn was very good at when it came to us choosing our matchups, because it's supposed to be the captain sort of chooses the matchup and makes the decisions, but it was very much a kind of democratic thing across all the teams. You saw everyone having a chat and thinking, right, well, who do we put down first? What do we want to avoid? And once you've got your first player down and you flip over the two, so let's say I was down first, the opposing team puts down their two rosters. A lot of the conversation was then, well, if we put that roster back to their hand, does that then create a less favorable matchup for one of our other team members?
Yeah.
So it wasn't just, these are the two I can choose from, I'm going to choose the one that's best suited for me. It's also that element of, I also want to avoid one of my teammates getting the bad matchup. So,
Yeah, which we had in the last round, didn't we? Where in the initial set, I think, that was placed against you, one of them was the Wakandans that I wanted to play against because of their extracts.
So I took the Dormammu and Asgard list, which I didn't really want to take because I have a bad record against Dormammu.
I had faith in you, it was fine.
And then Quinn did end up getting into the Wakanda list, which is what he wanted, and we won both of those games in the final. So obviously that worked well.
No, excellent. And I think it all went down to, I want to say, obviously you guys got through to the final. I know there was a bit of there was a little bit of confusion. There was some results submitted wrong, wasn't there, at some point during the game. So it kind of messed things up a little bit. Outside of that, it went down to the last game, I believe, to finish. So Quinn, I think you claimed that it was all down to you because you clinched the last game. Is that right?
I mean, I did win it for the team, yeah. I don't know why you're trying to make this like a weird thing. That's what happened.
It was 2-2, and it was all on Quinn to win, which we had the round before as well, actually. But with Chris, it was 2-2. Chris and Norbert were still playing, and I think Chris won by like a victory point in the end.
Oh wow!
Interestingly, our team, so the team that finished third, had the most victories, individual victories. They had 14, whereas us and the other team that was undefeated, like you said, there's a bit of a mix-up, so I ended up with two undefeated teams. We both had 13 wins, which I think just shows how important it is, kind of winning or losing as a team. And the thing that was particularly good for our team, I think, is that one round we run 4-1, but the other three rounds we won 3-2. So we only, kind of just won. They were tough rounds. And we had a different combination of three winning players on every single one of those rounds.
Nice. So it wasn't like there was a it was a full team effort. There wasn't
everyone pulled their weight.
Yeah, which is surprising because I thought Quinn would have been your disability, but did you ever? Sorry, Julie, before you do, did you ever look at one of the matchups and just go, "We're just going to throw them to the wolves. We know that is a lost game, but it is much better for us to put this roster against this character against this other roster because our other four are stronger against the other four." Was that ever a tactic at all, or?
To a degree, because of the way the matchups go, you can't always engineer that. But Mike, who again gave up quite a lot of his roster did get thrown up under the bus a little bit with some really tough matchups because of that lack of optimized roster. So he lost his first 3 games, and Mike's a really good player. If you look at his record on Longshanks, it's springing to Marvel. I think he went 5-1-1 because he had a draw because of dice down. But the games he lost. They were really, really close, and because VP's earned was our final tiebreaker in the end. That was really important. But he obviously saved up that frustration because he won his final game 17-0.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Okay.
Fully hulked out at the end.
So
yeah, I
so
think
he
Mike
made up for it.
Yeah, Mike's definitely the hero of our team because he gave the most roster concessions and he took on some really hard matchups against some really good players, like David Grant, who is well known to all of us. So yeah, I mean, I did as captain lead by example and win all 4 of my games, of course.
And I was just going to say as well. Not only that, you ended up in a mirror matchup against the illustrious Mr. Dunford as well, didn't you? And managed to beat him. But yeah, I mean, look, it's just so good, isn't it, that this game is in a position now where we can get, even in little old UK for my American viewers, right, that we can get 80 people to a single event, and then the following day have sort of 60 odd people at a singles tournament as well. So yeah, really, really well done, guys. And I think you showed it earlier, Jenna, but do you want to show us the trophy that you got there, Quinn? I know Quinn's probably got his as well.
Yeah, we all got one.
And just to say well done to the rest of the team. Who else was in the team then, Jonah? Just want to give him a quick shout out for the rest of the team.
Yeah, so Chris Williams, my sort of, for those who know me, my well-known gaming spouse. John Latham, who's John All 85 on Discord. So me, him, and Chris are the original Bold and Beautiful. We were a Guild Ball team, and this is actually the first time in any team event we've managed to get the 3 of us playing together. Bold and Beautiful have done a couple of team events, but with different players. And then finally, Mike East, who's the real hero of the team, I think, because of all the concessions he made to his roster.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think the biggest shout out, I think, has to go, firstly, obviously, to Tony for running. It's a huge thing running an 80-person, 16-team event. But to the international players that flew over it, we had 2 teams from Italy, 2 teams from Spain. We had Gil, who flew over from Denmark. We had the guys come down from Scotland. The Cornwall and Devon sort of collective came up. So real international vibe, which was amazing. We only got to play the one Italian team on the Saturday, but I played 2 of the Italian guys on the Sunday as well, which was awesome. And in fact, you mentioned Pat. Pat was the only player I've ever played before that I played over the 2 days. So I got to play 6 new opponents, which was amazing.
Oh, that's awesome though, isn't it? Like, I remember the last time I went to the Spring into Marvel, and I was the same. I got to play Marcus in person for the first time. I got to play Cahal for the first time in person as well. I got to beat Chris again as well, which is always fun. But
you got to make my She-Hulk sad.
I did make him.
You're still not forgiven for that, by the way. 5 dice builder does 6 damage. Not happy about it.
It's just the way Groot rolls. But yeah, no, it's really good, and huge congratulations to you two and the rest of the team, because it was a tough field. Maybe one of the most competitive events we've had in the UK, because it did spread, as you said, Jonah, far and wide outside of the UK as well. So and I got to play Rookie Boy this week in my TTS game, which maybe one of the most stressful games in my life that I've ever had, and it was a very narrow win.
Stressful to watch, Rich. I can tell you that.
But yeah.
On the team that I thought were favourites, him, Jaborf, and SP were all on team together. And for those who play on TTS, they'll probably recognise those names. They are extra.
Yeah, I played SP on the Sunday as well. Actually, he was really good.
Yeah,
absolutely. For any Americans watching and the whole World Series, me and Quinn and the rest of the team are claiming we're MCP World Champions now, because if you can claim the World Series in baseball, where basically only American teams playing it, we are now the
No, I agree. You are world champions. I am wholeheartedly behind this, and we are. And I, Jonah, I can't remember if I don't think you're part of this one. I think you are away, aren't you? But we are going to be at the end of September. We are going to have the Ghost Rider Cup. So we've got a team from the UK and Europe, and we're going to be pitting ourselves against a team in the US led by Nate from the Gamers Guild. So there'll be more details coming for that soon, but that should be a good session. But yeah, unfortunately, Jonah, which we want all our best players, and unfortunately you weren't available, which is a real shame. So we'll have to make up. We'll have to try and make do with somebody else, but it should be a good one as well. Guys, just because we've been going quite a while, I want to try and wrap things up. So I wanted to start with or finish with, sorry, I should say, the painting competition that we run every week. And the theme that I gave out either last week or the week before, I think it was, maybe 2 weeks ago now. Yes, it was the week before, wasn't it? Is going to be, or is, members of the Winter Guard. Now, we know that we don't have anything confirmed, but this was potential members of the Winter Guard. So basically, anyone with an Eastern European stroke Russian sounding last name, I think was up for grabs. I think we did have somebody paint a Spider-Man up.
Piotr Parker.
Piotr Parker with the Russian flag, which did make me laugh. But we've all picked out. So me and Quinn have picked out an honourable mention, and then Jonah, I believe you've picked the winner for this one, and I just want to make sure I've got the right things here. So bear with me a second. Yeah, because you'd be that. So yeah. So over to Quinn's first honourable mention, and it is going to be Ravensguard. So with this very delightful magic that you picked out, Quinn, what made you go for this one?
I really like just sort of the color palette of it. So the blue of the sword, like mixing quite nicely with the vortex, sort of the speckled or almost star pattern on the vortex as well. I really like, and also just the little bit of added color on sort of the top that she has as well that you don't typically see with magic. That I think just breaks it up quite nicely.
Yeah, I agree. I did like the palette that they used, particularly the little swirl on the base. I really did like that. It reminds me of almost like a blue tone of like eternity kind of thing, with the sort of stars in the background sort of thing. Very the sword is very power sword reminiscent of a space marine, which I'm never bothered with. I think it looks really, really good. But yeah, overall, I think it was a really, really good, really good paint job. So second honourable mention then is going to be Job. And apologies, guys, I just keep getting so
We've hit the big time. We're getting chatbots. It's great.
I think is that the standard now? If we get chatbots, that means that we are. I knew I should have put. I should have gone incognito with the browsing. Maybe that's what the problem is. Sorry,
Shouldn't
guys.
have been signed in on the channel account.
That's what it is.
Told you about this before.
That is what it is. But yeah, I picked this one out. A little bit of a cheat one because we did have two characters here, but I just thought they were painted up absolutely beautifully. Colossus is not my favourite 4th threat in the game. Everybody is aware of this, but Job did a really, really good job on both models, particularly, and it's the reason I picked this picture and not the other picture. I really, really liked Craven the Hunter. I thought the blends were really nice on there, the muscle definition, the spear. I'm lazy as hell when it comes to painting spears. I'll maybe do a layer of brown and then maybe a single highlight across there, but the fact that he has that, transition from, it almost looks like where the wood's been worn down a little bit, where he's been holding it. I think he's done a really, really, really good job of that.
It does look a little bit like a pool cue.
It does look a little bit like a pool cue, yes, but a good looking pool cue nonetheless. And apologies, guys, I was just going in there and getting rid of all the spam, which apparently means I've made it. So I will I will take that. And then, Jonah, as you are the guest this week, we thought we would give you the choice of who wins, and you went with this very, very nice Colossus from Joe Manji. So talk us through why you decided to pick this one.
Yeah, I really love this. As much as I love gaming, painting is my favourite part of the hobby. So I love the weekly painting competition and seeing all the models people put up. And I'm pretty sure this is NMM. And I know you love a bit of NMM, Rich.
I do indeed. Yeah, I do indeed.
Alex, I love just the highlights, like the real high contrast on the yellows and the reds. I thought this was just a gorgeous model. Really well painted, and I really loved it. So well done, Jumanji. This is gorgeous.
It is.
Sure, that is NMM, is it?
If it's not, it's a very, very well done metallic. Like it looks NMM. Like,
it might be true metal metallic, but if you look on the left leg, the straight one, that one particularly looks like non-metallic metal.
I do think there are like white highlights at the top to like sort of push it, but I think it might be a blend of the two, actually.
Yeah.
Like
you see that quite a bit now, don't you? With like a metallic base and then maybe a speed paint over the top, and then you can turn the speed paint into, or a contrast, whichever, into it. I don't want to do him a disservice because it may be that Joe Manji did all this NMM. Maybe he didn't. Ultimately, it's still an absolutely brilliant, brilliant paint job. So, Jonah, to round things off, then, seeing as you are the guest for the week, that means rather than handing over to Quinn to choose the theme, I'm going to hand over to you and let you choose the
something bonkers.
Theme for the week.
Make him regret it. Make him regret it, Jonah.
I'm on the spot. What am I going to do? Oh, no. I'm just trying to think what we've just had spoiled. I don't know if you guys have done this before. I think you've had the models where there's multiple versions, right?
I don't think we have.
We've done alt schemes, but I don't think we have.
Yeah, we've done alternate schemes that we've
not
not done.
Are you going for the vibe of sort of the old versions of the new stuff?
Yeah, let's have models that there are now multiple versions of. So Skull, Captain America, any of the Captain Americas, Wolverine and Sabretooth, because they've just announced new versions of them. Widow. Anyone else has got? Strange.
Nice. I like it.
Anyone where more than one version exists.
Perfect. I like that as a theme. So yeah, if you want to put your entries in, we've got a dedicated space on Discord, so you can head on over and find that. You'll find a link to our Discord down in the description below. And yeah, Jonah, thank you for joining us, buddy. It's been nice to have anything that reduces the percentage of Quinn. For me, is a good thing. So the fact that
I'm the star power here.
Maybe we even
remember that.
Maybe we even get two people on next time.
I'm the reason there are set spots on this channel, not you.
Oh, dearie me. He's probably right, but for all the wrong reasons. But yeah, no, thank you for joining us, Quinn. Sorry, Quinn. No, fuck you.
I mean,
thank you for joining us.
Richie.
Thank you for joining us, Jonah. It was really good to have you on, buddy. And yeah, hopefully you can come back after your next victorious team event that you.
I mean, we are planning to bring the same team back again next year, aren't we?
Is that the plan?
Yeah, and I think next year, you mentioned, it was hard to do more than 3 players when you did yours, Rich. And I think by the time 2023 Nations happened, we'll be able to do 5-man teams with the standard timeline rules, because I think there'll be enough affiliation-specific cards to fill that out. So
Yeah,
I want 10-man teams. Fuck it. And let chaos reign.
You can't have 10. It's an even number, Quinn. That's not how.
it's not how teams work.
No. You just have to win by landslide. That's how that works. I thought this through.
Yeah, thanks for having me anyway, guys.
No, really appreciate it. Hope everybody enjoyed it. It was a bit of a longer one, but yeah, there was a lot to get through. As usual, these things now, as we're filming and recording and streaming, more and more comes through. But hopefully, we'll